Hey everybody, it's Dan from Discern. I'm starting a new video segment this week, mini album reviews. I'm going to take albums that came out in the last week and give them a quick minute review. So here goes. Here's the first one. Because this is the first week of February, odd number, I'll start with my least favorite first. Number 4, Jeremy Camp, I Will Follow. Jeremy Camp, rock artist with a lot of pop influences. This is music I would say a cool dad would listen to. It's this sort of Christian arena rock sound, high energy, really compressed, thick, pumping rock. This album, I couldn't take it seriously. It's absolutely sterilized rock music, if you ask me. It doesn't have an edge. It acts like it has an edge, but there really is not much of an edge there. It's all about, positivity and God loves you and God's on your side. I mean, obviously it's a Christian facade of positivity because the Christian life isn't as glamorous and glitzy as these songs make it seem. Jeremy Camp, I think, just has an identity crisis. He needs to stop following, a business mindset on what's going to sell, what's going to be a commercial success, and what would be a success for him as an artist. And the theology in this album, too, was just, it's the type that gets laughed off college campuses. There's no foundation, there's no deep roots, there's no understanding of true Christianity. It's more of a benevolent God belief, which most religions have anyway. What separates you from Christianity other than your stock Christian phrases? Number 3, BridgeCity, Christ Be Glorified. BridgeCity is a different take on CCM. They have these pop indie electronic influences. Frankly, I think they're just trying to be Hillsong, but they're not nearly as dramatic or inventive or energetic. They got these exciting, quirky synth tones occasionally, like skittering, arpeggiated synths, but their sound is kind of disjointed too because you've got a CCM vocal, a vocal with not much character to it. It's very plain, and you have these energetic synth tones that don't necessarily mesh that well. This band may have prettier frills than other worship bands, but the foundation, I think, is just as generic, just as worthless. The lyrics are just gag-worthy sometimes. I will live for you always. I mean, what are you, Jesus? Come on, that's a good thing to believe and to want and to yearn for, but there are so much more deeper things grounded in real biblical theology that we could be singing about that are way more encouraging than just saying, I will live for you always. The energy of the first few songs didn't really carry through the rest of the album. Halfway through there was a significant slump. And I think the vocal melodies hurt it because there were a lot of them that were just plodding, like on the song Depths, just simple, plodding, lifeless, to the point of distracting. There was a bright spot on this album, though. Great version of Nothing But the Blood, a chill, electro-pop ambience sort of instrumentation. I mean, that's where I think they succeed, too, is in that instrumentation. It's something that they have that's unique, it sounds good. The pieces of that song fit really well together, but, when they started to add lyrics, those were woefully underwhelming. Number 2, Least of These, with their album Mere Image. Least of These, post-hardcore, a little bit of indie rock, post-rock influence. They're more melodic than aggressive in the post-hardcore genre. They're not too rhythmically complex, actually. They're sort of that smooth, consistent sound with the bass and the drums kind of laying a groundwork, and then your guitars are sort of freely flailing around on the top. The songs have sort of a pop formula, verse, chorus, bridge. The lyrics on this record, though, they're like these honest diaries of thoughts and ponderings of a Christian. It's not a worship album, per se. It's just a regular album written from a Christian worldview, dealing with Christian beliefs. Their sound is kind of two-dimensional, though. They have a soft sound, they have a loud sound, and that's pretty much it. But they do a good job of dynamically switching between the two. They occasionally get into some darker screaming and, a heavier mode, but those are usually just on bridge sections. Around the middle of the album, they had quite a significant lull. I remember thinking, is this all you are? Is this all you have? It's just, it really felt that two-dimensional, especially in the middle of the album. The song Too Much Makeup, though, brilliant metaphor of the tragedy, of trying to beautify the gospel or increase its appeal. As they say, you're trying to add makeup, you're covering up its glory. I mean, it's so true, it's so helpful. And this album to me, felt like these profound truths coming from like the mouth of a teenager. I mean, when you think of post-hardcore, you don't think of music that's profound and that's deep, that has a sincere message to say. But these guys, man, they really carried it. You know, songs Watermark, The Cynic, Too Much Makeup, Made Low. I mean, they all have these really important, profound messages. And frankly, these guys have their heads on straighter than some pastors. They've got a really controlled energy overall, which is to their detriment a little bit. The energy feels a little planned and purposeful, you know, not too spontaneous or wild, which in post-hardcore music is something that you really need. You need that energy to pick the song up and move it. Carry Me, towards the end of the album, a short little standout. It kind of brought me out of the slump from the middle of that album. Musically, these guys, you know, they're nothing new. They do what they do well, but it's not a shocker. Lyrically, though, these songs are honest, they're insightful and deep. There are a lot of phrases worth chewing on. And album number 1, my favorite album that came out last week, Aaron Strumpel, Bright Star. Aaron Strumpel is an indie folk worship artist. You know, he takes these songs and builds them up with layer upon layer of other instruments to make this textured, colored collage. This album was produced by Latifah Phillips. You probably know her from Page CXVI, the Autumn film, Motospira, and mixed and mastered by Dave Wilton, which you may know him from Loud Harp, Josh Garrels, A Boy and His Kite. I think the sound of this album was definitely influenced by the people working on it. This whole record, though, is refreshing from so many angles. You know, the mood and the texture, the lyrics, the instrumentation. His vocal delivery, sort of this wispy and relaxed mumbling, you know, very much in the vein of a tender singer-songwriter. His vocal melodies are also very inspired by folk as well. Lyrically, it's poetic, you know, he's musically captivating, theologically insightful. I disagree with some aspects of his theology, you know, minor points, not main pillars or anything, but overall, I was extremely encouraged. All his lyrics are included on his Bandcamp. I recommend you go check those out. You know, give them a listen, read those lyrics. These are songs that have something to say. And these songs, you know, they're layered instrumentally and lyrically. You know, they sound so fascinating. It's a joy for me to return to them, to just peel back more layers and hear something that I didn't hear the first time. And these songs, they need to be interpreted in light of, you know, their whole set of lyrics. That's kind of the way they're structured. The verses inform the bridges, which inform the choruses, which inform the verses. I mean, you get the idea. The whole song is crafted to deliver a unified message, not so much to be a set of individual phrases that stand alone. One downside of the lyrics is, you know, they're written in really unique ways, but they still speak to large Christian generalities. God, you take care of me. God, you are good. You're strong. I want to follow you. It's quite vague at times, and you find yourself just kind of forgetting what he's singing about because you feel like, well, I've heard this before. Beautiful arrangement to close this album with the song Were You There? It's sparse, it's empty, echoes the reality of the imagery in those lyrics, and he also added some powerful gospel-rich lyrics at the beginning and the end. This is by far my favorite record this week. It's a record that I'm sure I'll be returning to. It's a record that I think more worship leaders, more churches need to hear. It's a sound that's unique, that's purposeful, and it's got lyrics too that are not run-of-the-mill. They're new, they're fresh. Anyway, that's 4 albums I listened to this week. If you listen to any of these, if you've got others that I didn't mention, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about them. And I'm going to be doing this next week and hopefully the weeks on and on. Listening to albums during the week, bringing you guys some short reviews and hopefully helping you to discover something new. Anyway, see ya.